Hey Takers, Bonsai Duck here. Thought I would give you an in my humble opinion of the announcement of Frontline 2021. Now there's a lot of angst going on, and predictions and all that about Frontline 2021. And I think that obviously, if you've heard anything about it, you've heard that they're going to allow Tier 9s to play in it. There's some other things that are happening in Frontlines that I don't quite agree with. I think they, let's just be honest, right? Okay, Frontlines, I enjoy playing Frontlines because it was all Tier 8. You can make buku bank on credits. You made some really good experience on tanks that you might be grinding or, help build crews or stuff like that. You can run your personal reserves and, get a lot of free experience out of it. It was just a mode for a week that you were playing the same tier tank. You could play your premiums, you could play your stock tanks, and you didn't really have to fire gold. I mean, you really didn't have to fire gold at all. You could, if you wanted to, if you really needed to make that hard push or penetration, you could carry a couple gold. They've lowered the amount of arty that were in the game. They've lowered the amount of wheelies that were in the game over time. But over time, they've also been reducing the amount of credits that you can make, just like they do in the Christmas ops. They reduce the success of the packages that you buy, what you get out of them. But the fundamental process of the game was the same, right? It was 30 versus 30. It was a large map. You got to respawn. You got to repair yourselves. You got to use different personal reserves, for lack of a better word, to scout or smoke screen or, bombard or, artillery, stuff like that. But it was just a lot of fun. Obviously, they've changed some of those things, and part of it is they've reduced some of the rewards, it looks like, so it's not so, I guess, so credit earning, but we'll find out, because they announced all these changes and these possible tests and everything a month almost before they release it. I don't know if that's to get everybody's blood up or to see if what the response is from the forums. First off, I don't know who was asking to bring Tier 9s into it. I think if anybody was asking to bring other tiers into it, it was to make a Frontlines Tier 7 or a Frontlines Tier 9. You already have ranked battles for Tier 10, but you could make a Frontlines Tier 10. You could have a season, each month be a different tier. Start at 7, 8, 9, and 10. What's wrong with that? But when you start intermixing tiers, then you've changed the whole dynamic of the mode. The other thing is that there's not another mode out there that they've played that isn't a single tier. This is the first time that they've taken a very popular mode and they're trying to introduce a two-tiered system, a +1 -1 system. All right. So obviously, that is causing some heartburn on the forums, more in the North American side than I've noticed on the European side. But then again, it's early, and you got to kind of hunt out and weed through the chaff on what people are trying to say. But I'm a huge Frontline player. If you follow my channel, I enjoy playing the mode. So I think I come with a little bit more experience in it. So we'll kind of go through the little things, and then we'll settle on the Tier 9 thoughts, and we'll just kind of go through it, and I'll raise the question on things that I don't quite agree with. But anyway, if you haven't watched the video, you should probably watch the video. It's like every other video that they do. It's somewhat informative, just enough to lead you down the garden path and to make you go, well, what the hell's going on? Anyway, Frontline Stage 1 starts on the 16th of August and ends on 23rd. For me, it's 6 a.m. Central Time to 3 a.m. Central Time. The next stages 2, 3, and 4 will be September, October, and November. The overview: 2 teams, 30 versus 30, huge map, either Normandy or craft work. Each team has its own objective. Attackers are trying to, attack the gun placements. Defenders are trying to defend the gun placements. You have the map broken into a beachhead, basically field, open field, and then city, right? The attacking team, as they capture a square, basically out of all 6, then they can leave that area and go into another one, or but they slowly start capturing the bases. The meta of the game has changed over time, simply because you had the advent of wheelies and the advent of the guys who want to barrel through the mode very quickly. Get the ranking, get a high ranking, and you get more points and stuff like that. There are pillboxes, there are hills, there are mountain areas, there are valley areas, there's water, there's everything, right? But that's pretty much it. You can also get frontline battle pass points in this. All right. Well, you got battle pass points in Steel Hunter, so why not in Frontline, right? Unfortunately, if you are having bad games and you're below in the ranking of 21 to 30, you're not going to get anything. 1 through 20, that's it. Boom. Those are the only players that are going to get the any type of battle pass points. All right. Rewards. Frontline tiers, it looks like there might be, 15 tiers. Okay. 15 tiers in Frontline. You get 20 points per tier, except for the first one, battle pass points, on top of where you get your ranking points. But you used to have different. Each tier got some got bonds, some got extra credits, some got personal reserves. Now it looks like you're just getting directives. I hope that's not the only thing you're going to get out of this. I hope that's not all you get for achieving these tiers is directives, because that sucks. All right. I don't use directives that much, simply because they cost bonds, and you either set them up to automatically replenish, or you have to remember to throw them in. All right. Well, when you're playing Frontlines, you're out of you got killed, you're in your next tank ready to go. You don't have time. You can't change anything once the battle's started. You can't go in and add bonds or add directives or change your equipment once the game has started. You get what's there. If you have a tank that has crews bouncing between 2 different tanks, you got to make sure that you've got that crew in that tank before the battle starts. Otherwise, you get that tank and there's no crew. It sucks. There's really no way to take advantage of the directives until except for between battles. In a total, if you get you can earn a total of 280 battle pass points for all 15 tiers. Okay. Then we got the combat reserves rework. Okay, so in the 2021 season, they've added 3 new combat reserves and reworked some of the existing ones. In total, there will be 9 combat reserves divided into 3 categories: attack, recon, and tactical. All vehicles will have 3 combat reserve slots, 1 for each category. Okay, makes sense. I like that. You're allowing me to pick what I want to use. That's one thing I enjoy most about this game, allowing me to do what I want to do with my tank. By reaching Frontline tiers, you will earn combat reserve points. Okay, use them to unlock combat reserves. That was generally what would happen last time. As you achieved tiers and gained points, you were able to unlock, more smokescreen or more arty strikes, which would make them more accurate, more bombardment, that type of stuff. Use them to unlock combat reserves on their dedicated screen. What dedicated screen? Okay, so dedicated an attack, recon, or category. On their category. I don't know if you can. Well, obviously, I'm assuming, and I'm probably correct, that you can't have 3 attack ones, right? You got to have 1 attack, 1 recon, 1 tactical. All right. Once unlocked, you can select and assign reserves to your vehicle. Okay, all combat reserves can be upgraded in the course of the battle after obtaining certain ranks. Sounds good. Excuse me. Unlike before, where you had to wait till the end of the battle and then you could increase, now it sounds like you can increase while you're playing. The maximum upgrade level for particular combat reserves depends on the vehicle type in which you're playing. Check it out. Okay. So, as we check it out, heavy tanks, medium tanks, light tanks, tank destroyers, SPGs. Okay, so now we've got different levels, and the levels refer to the ranks, right? So let's scroll down here a little bit, and we'll look at the ranks. So rank level 1 is private and sergeant and lieutenant. Level 2 is captain and general for slot 2. What kind of nightmare is this? Okay, so in my slot 1, I can increase. Well, I get my level 1 at private. I can increase my slot 1 at captain, and I can increase my slot 1 at major. Okay, slot 2. I have to get to sergeant before I can use it, and then I can only increase it one time to level 2 if I achieve general. Otherwise, I'm pretty much stuck at level 1 for slot 2. Slot 3, I can increase it at lieutenant, and that's it. All right, so let's remember that. So we go back up here. All right, so slot 1. Okay. RD strike or attack, or I'm assuming attack is slot 1. So in the heavy tanks at level 3, I get to increase that. Medium tanks level 2. Light tanks level 1. Destroyers level 2. SPGs level 1. Okay, recon. At a heavy tank, I get that right out of the gate. I get medium tanks, I get it right out of the gate. Light tanks, I gotta wait until I at level 3, which I believe is the general, maybe, or major. I'm not sure. Could you make this more confusing? I mean, or why don't you just make it across the board? You get one of each at level 1. You can increase them as you receive levels. I don't know. I mean, SPGs just get royally screwed over. All right. Now let's take a look at each combat reserve. All right, attack reserves, the category of combat reserves that causes the direct damage to two of them are airstrike and RD strike. Okay, makes sense. Recon reserves. We improve smokescreen and combat reserves that block the enemy's view range and conceals allies within the specified zone. Previously, it improved concealment while limiting view range. Okay, so if I fire, my guys still can see. They still have their view range, where the other team it's limited, I guess. All right. Recon flight remains unchanged. Okay. They've added Sentinel, which will be especially useful to light tanks. This passive ability that takes effect if your vehicle is stationary for a few seconds, improving your view range upon activation. So as soon as you activate it, your view range improves. It looks like the passive ability only takes effect after you're not moving for a second. It's kind of quasi, doesn't really make sense. Stealth grants a bonus of concealment and gives you the commander's vision system property, which worsens the enemy's concealment. All right, this bonus takes effect if enemy vehicles are stationary. All right. In addition, the combat reserves will allow you to detect enemy minefields within the radius of 250 meters, okay, as opposed to 50 meters when you drive up on them and you go, whoa, there's a minefield. All right. Tactical reserves. Inspire now gives significantly higher bonuses to your vehicle crew and performance than the allies around you. I thought it always gave you my tank a little bit more and it kind of helped the allies around me. All right. The bonuses to skills and perks and crews of allied vehicles will remain at the plus 15% to the major qualifications. Okay. Engineering will no longer provide a bonus to restoring vehicle HP at resupply circles. This bonus will be moved to field repairs. More info on that below. Engineering will still give a 50 to 80% bonus on base captures, okay, and 30 to 50% bonus on resupply speed, depending on its upgraded level. Additionally, this causing damage to an attacker, the base capture will be interrupted by 5 to 10 seconds, depending on combat reserve's upgrade level. Oh, fuck me. Man, I might need to go get a scotch. All right, and it's early in the morning. Field repairs. This is a new combat reserve that instantly restores a significant percentage of the vehicle's HP and continues to restore it a little more over a few seconds. Okay, so it instantly restores a significant percentage. We're not going to tell you what. And then it just slowly restores for a few more seconds. It also reduces the damage of minefield while active. Okay. Field repairs does not stop even if you take damage. Okay, which you get on a resupply and you'd be resupplying, all of a sudden they'd shoot you and it just stopped you right there. All right, and apparently that's still happening on the resupplies. But in field repairs, if you activate it and they're shooting you, you're not losing it. It's got to be slowing down the repairs somehow. I don't quite get that. Combat reserves categorization. Okay. You will enter the battle with one combat reserve and gradually gain access to other reserves from the remaining categories. All right. You will be able to select one of 3 available reserves for each slot category. You can also upgrade combat reserves during the battle when you achieve certain ranks. Does that mean I can upgrade the ones that I picked? I'm assuming, because I can't go in and change things, right? Okay. And we went through that before, and that is just one screwed up. that is, seriously, that is just, okay. Each vehicle type will have its own order of unlocking combat reserves, depending on their gameplay features. For example, at the start of the battle, heavy tanks will only have a combat reserve for their choice from the attack category. Okay. At the start of the game, heavy tanks will only have a combat reserve of their choice from the attack category. As the battle goes on, they can unlock and select a tactical reserve. Okay. Then reserves from the recon category will be the last to be available. Okay. For light tanks, SPGs, and tank destroyers, recon combat reserve slot will be the first one available. Medium tanks will first gain tactical reserves. Okay. Now we've hit the 200-pound gorilla. All right. So the rest of that, those are changes that they've made, and I may or may not agree with some of them. This is one that I think is going to fundamentally change the mode, all right, in my opinion. And the reason that is that though you can't start the battle in a tier 9, and you have to achieve a certain level or capture 3 certain zones before tier 9s can come into the game. Once that happens, it basically just changes the game from tier 8 to tier 9. So you start the battle at all tier 8, work up to the middle, and then boom, everybody just eject. They die quickly. What happens? And now they all come back in tier 9s. Okay. So start of the battle, according to the standard rules, is in a tier 8 tank. But when the attackers capture at least 1 point from the second defense line, zones D, E, and F, all players upon respawn after being destroyed may pick a tier 9 vehicle to re-enter the battle and strengthen their teams. Now, maybe this was because that most of the times in previous Frontline, once you lost a middle section, all right, then that's when the steamroll would start to happen. Most teams would fall back to the city sections, the last 3 sections, and go into defensive mode and try to snipe and kill the guys as they came raging through the middle sections. All right, there would be a battle at the first part, the landing portions. Then there's in some areas there's a stiff little battle going on to protect those main sections, but usually one always gets left open because everybody's moved over to the other squares, and then the attacking team figures out, hey, square F is open. Let's all go over there and charge through there and get in behind the defenders. All right, and that generally was all the wheelies and light tanks. Okay, so how's that going to change now? Well, it's not going to change that meta. All it's going to do is once that happens, these guys over here who are battling in sections D and E are now going to start seeing tier 9s. All right. Now, it's not to say that tier 8s can't hurt tier 9s, but now you're going to start seeing the AE Phase 1, T95s, the Tortoises. I mean, the Kampf Panzer 50, right? The reward tier 9s. Good Lord. So what happens? Does everybody just eject out and jump in their tier 9s and gather in sections, the last 3 sections? I don't know. All right. The Frontline Garage will consist of 2 sections, each containing only tier 8s and tier 9s. So used to be, I'd set up all my tier 8s, and then I knew what tier 8s I wanted to play. That worked well for me. Now I got to set up some tier 9s, right? Rental vehicles, for those of you who don't have tier 8s, you can now rent terms. And for those of you who don't have tier 9s, you can rent those. The E50, the T54. Oh, man. Those are 2 nice ones. The WZ-111. 1.4, the AMX M451, I haven't played that one. T30, Yag Tiger, STRV 103. Okay, all right. 2 more. Tier 9 rental vehicles, the M46 patent and the Conqueror will be obtained for free by achieving the 2nd and 5th frontline tiers. So once you achieve those tiers, then you can rent the patent, which I thoroughly enjoy, and the Conqueror, which at Tier 9 is not bad. Okay. All rental tanks and replicas of existing vehicles with the same characteristics and properties. All right. So that's it in a nutshell. What does the Tier 9 bring to the game? All right. Well, it's going to change the dynamics. It'll change the economy of it, of you getting your credits, because obviously Tier 9 vehicles are going to, take, less damage, have more expensive shells, stuff like that. They're more expensive to run, and they don't get the premium boosts that the Tier 8 premiums get. Even the Tier 9 premiums don't get the credit boost, right? So that's going to change it. Then if you're still fighting your Tier 8, you're going to have to go into the gold on some of these, right? So it changes the economy, which I think, honestly, in my opinion, is one of the things that wargaming is trying to do. All right. And the reason I say that is because if you look at last year's holiday ops, each year they've slowly tried to squeeze the economy of what comes out of those. People were ending up with, a year and a half of premium days and tons of gold and tons of credits. Of course, all your CCs got handed oodles and oodles of boxes, so they just automatically got all these things, and you were getting reward tanks. So that's the premium days and the credits and the gold that was given out is slowly been squeezed every year. And last year it was a lot more directives. Yay! Directives. Who cares about directives? So now they've taken it to Frontline. I don't know what they did with Steel Hunter. I don't play that. But I'm assuming they're implementing the same thing. Maybe this year they made it really great and you earned tons of credits so that they can squeeze it next year. I don't know. The other thing about bringing Tier 9s in is this, like I said earlier, this is the only mode that's +1, -1. Why? I didn't ask for this. I didn't ask to battle that. If I wanted to, I said, yeah, it'd be great if you had a Tier 9 Frontline. That'd be great. I would play my Tier 9s more. If you had a Tier 10 Frontline, I might even play that. If you rotated it throughout the season, 7, 8, 9, and 10, great. But hey, how about this? How about you make a Tier 7 Frontline and you allow Tier 8s to come in? Oh, nobody wants that. Nobody wants that in this mode. Nobody's asked for it. And those that did ask for it are blowing smoke up your ass. Nobody wants this. All right? So what are you going to see? Well, you're probably going to see a bunch of T95s and tortoises in the city. T30s and that are going to be sniping. It's just going to turn into an absolute brutal, credit-eating slugfest. Whereas before it wasn't. Even if you were on a losing team, you could make good credits. You could achieve bonuses. Now you're going to have Tier 9 EBRs raging around, for the love of God. T49s. I mean, it's just, I love the T50, but against Tier 8s, that thing's a beast. The E50, it's a beast. I like my AE Phase 1, but against Tier 8s, okay. 703, the double barrel Tier 9s. I mean, why? Now, they did say that this Tier 9 was going to be a test, and I hope that the feedback on this is that don't do this again. This absolutely sucks. I don't know how you're going to change it, or you're just making the first stage, kind of quasi, you might do well, you might not. Okay. And then we're going to take it out and make it all back to Tier 8. And so now you guys got to push hard for the next 3 stages to get the rewards that you're looking for. I don't know. I'm trying not to be a pessimist on this. I went and looked at the forums. On the North American forums, there's a lot of angst about it. On the European forums, they're a little bit more accepting, saying, hey, it might be worth a try. I look at certain posters on forums of people that I trust and honestly give, some good feedback. Don't just sit there and flame the forum. And I saw both sides. And I'm trying not to be a pessimist of this, but I think the Tier 9 aspect of this is a wrong way to go. It just is not going to work. I don't think it's going to produce what they want it to produce. I think it's going to push people away because they're going to get frustrated. They're going to the purist frontline player, I guess, for lack of any other description, is going to go, why am I doing this? And what's it do to that matchmaker? All right? Because if you wanted to play random battles during frontline, you know, it was honestly a terrible time to play tier 8 because you were always seeing tier 10 games because all the tier 8s were in frontline. So now what's going to happen? You're going to have a bunch of tier 8s and a bunch of tier 9s, and it's tier 10s. So if you like playing tier 10s and you want pure tier 10 games, maybe that's the time to play them. I'm going to try it. I'm going to play it. I'll give you my thoughts and my opinion on it as it's happening. I think this is a huge issue. And I don't know why Wargaming has decided that they want to do this. I don't know. I wish they'd come out and say who requested this BS. All right. You know, in some of the forums it was posted, you know, is there a department in Wargaming that just takes a perfectly good thing and says, okay, how can we fuck this up? I don't know. Maybe there is. Most software companies have a research and development. Maybe you have a research and trash. I don't know. I think it's a bad move, and I think it sets an unhealthy precedent. To be honest with you, because if it becomes successful, this is going to happen more and more. And to me, I think a lot of this is to squeeze the economy. All right, force the players to play. You're not forcing anybody to play, obviously, but the players that play, they don't get the coin and the rewards that they did get. How can we squeeze that economy without really nuking the rewards? Well, you bring another tier in. That's how you do it. Anyway, that's my humble opinion. Tell me what you think. I'm going to play it. I hope everybody does. I hope everybody gives their feedback. I hope they actually ask for the feedback, or they actually pay attention to the forums and you know, respond to this, because this is not something. It's bad enough that the developers like to tell us how we should play our tanks and how we should play maps and all that rigmarole, but it's absolutely asinine to do something like this, in my opinion. Anyway, that's my humble opinion. I hope you liked it. If you liked the video, hit the like button. Keep those videos coming. I greatly appreciate it. Please remember to hit the subscribe button. This is Bonsai Duck out.